Hello, everybody. This is Adela. This is the house medium. There's my little crystal wand, as Bill calls it. Here's my magic wand. I'm doing a very different podcast episode. I'm Adela Lavine. I'm your house medium, but I'm going to be interviewing and I'm bringing back a very favorite of everyone. I could say fan favorite, but that sounds kind of weird, but I'm just going to say one of your favorite episodes I have heard over and over is the Bill Letson story. He's here back with me. Bill, hi.
Hi, how are you doing, Adela?
This is Bill. I did it. I felt like I was doing this intro, but this is Bill's style. So I was just like, let's just bring him on in. Let's just let him say hi. You guys are watching it and you're listening. Let me just give him a little bit backstory, okay, Bill, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. So Bill has the most authentic story to me. I'm speaking from my 25 plus years experience as a professional medium and intuitive of an NDE, near death experience. And I've heard a lot of them and I've been like, sorry, that was been my reaction. A lot of them have been very like, I don't know. Yes, I mean, it sounds pretty good. But I heard Bill's. I saw him like a lot of people have seen. He's been on several YouTube channels and podcasts. And I feel, and we're going to get into that part, but I feel his story is very popular and people resonate because of Bill, because he feels very authentic. And I feel everyone picked up on what I sense. Now, the difference with me and other people is I've seen all the things he talked about. And that's what went ding, 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 ding to me is because I was like, oh no, he's now saying the things I've seen. Other people didn't. So, what we're going to do, Bill, because Bill has told the story several times, I'm going to have him tell it again. We're going to have you tell your story. And then we're going to get into, I have some questions about what has been going on since we last spoke. Oh, and we did meet in person, right, Bill? Like we met in person by the beach
Yes, it was wonderful.
while it was wonderful. And it was while you were filming something else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And I kind of want to know because he's gotten a lot of attention. And I feel like sometimes when you're just like, hey, I just was living my life, this thing happened to me, and now everyone wants to know, we're going to get into all of what that means. Okay. But let's let everyone's like, be quiet, Adela. Let Bill tell the story. Okay. I'm quiet now. Go ahead, Bill. I'm going to play a little music, though, if you don't mind. A little background music. You can go ahead and tell us your story.
that's some cool music.
Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for having me again. This is wonderful. My name's Bill Letson. I was a fireman my whole life. I was with the Forest Service, and then I was with the Santa Barbara County Fire. And in '94, we went to a really sick patient. It was during this flu thing. It was called the Beijing flu, and long story short, I got what she got, and she was hanging by a thread, and we got her to the hospital, and she turned out okay. And a few days later, I was on my way to the hospital, and I had failing vital signs, and it just really um, overcame me really fast. And a couple of clues I picked up on was I couldn't feel my pulse at my wrist, so I knew my blood pressure was just tanking, and um, and the shutdown wasn't far behind, and that was true. Um, but they got me to the hospital. They got a couple of bags of IV fluid, saline in me, and I started to reinflate, rehydrate, and they were flooded with patients, and a lot of kids and old folks were really suffering. So I was on the back burner in a back room, and um, the nurse came in and she said, "Here's something to hold you over. We can't get to everybody." And so she had this, couple of drugs that she pushed in, and it didn't go well. It's not unusual for people to, that are sort of circling the drain to all of a sudden drop out. and I dropped completely out. My wife was there, and she said, "Your eyes rolled back, and you went from sitting up to straight back, and gone." And they couldn't get you back. They couldn't get a blood pressure, and they gave you a bunch of drugs to reverse to put in your vein, and you still weren't coming back. And the blood pressure was 40 over zero, was the highest she ever heard. She was writing everything down, and and they got you out of there, put you up in intensive care, and loaded you up with tubes and stuff. And I sat there for um, 12, 13, 14 hours. Um, but that was about 3:30 in the afternoon when I went down. But the next thing I realized is I was just zooming, and I always start laughing, but I was
Because it
just
probably felt good, right?
it felt
Like it's like
amazing.
a joyous laugh that you're giving, like fun. Felt fun, maybe?
Well, yeah, when I say those words, I put myself there, and I
Right.
see this, like a Star Trek viewing
Yeah.
screen. I see
Yeah.
this blackish purple background and these orbs, stars,
Mm,
colorful, and they're just zooming by, and they're separating, and they're zooming around me, and they're all like breaching, and it was nothing but praise and welcome and appreciation and joy and love and nothing like I'd ever felt as a human. And I was just zooming through this, and I went from feeling, looking back, it was like I was crammed into a hot, dark closet, and I was stuck there. And versus where I was now, and where I was now was this huge expanded cloud,
mm,
this huge
mhm.
expanded balloon. I just went on forever, and I was connected to all those orbs. There was all these feelings of, you know, like I said, joy and appreciation. And my first thought was, man, what was that? Uh, Meaning life on Earth, life as Bill,
Right.
and it was like this incredible relief. And we don't
Yeah.
understand, and the things that we carry, the fear, that's a collective word for all the things, anxiety and regret and
Mhm.
uh, all these things that, anger and jealousy and resentment, all these things are just crushing to actual
Spirit.
our
Yeah.
actual spirit is
Mhm.
alive and welcoming and unity, and we're all together and we're all for one, and
Mhm.
this single separate thing with all these fearful emotions is just, you hear these stories about people say that Earth is the hardest place to come,
I say.
and
I call it camp. I call it boot camp.
boot camp. Yeah, I could absolutely see that, because that feeling was the release was ridiculous,
Mm.
and I've said it over and over, this the joy and the happiness of being home. It was like a
It
cosmic
makes me smile
orgasm.
so much here. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting you, but because I've talked to Bill about this, I think that this time I can like do a little back and forth. But I just have to tell you, Bill, it just makes me smile because I know the place and I know the feeling, but I haven't popped all the way out to go there. And so I know what you're talking about, and it's the home.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a home vibration, because we're all
Hmm.
energy, and there was no Bill. Uh,
Hmm.
for me, it seemed like Bill was a real chore. It was a real
I feel
thing
like
to
that
schlep
now.
around in, and
Yes.
and and I was thinking, man, what was that? That was so hard, and I was really perplexed by that, and I was saying, how in the world did I believe I was that dude?
Mm.
This dude, you're
Yeah.
talking to.
Yeah. This guy
How
right here. Yeah.
how did I how did I fall for that?
Hmm.
Um, he had his whole story and all his history and what he wants, how he thinks everything should run. All of that was gone. All of that was meaningless. It was like a game that I was involved in, and the game was over. And
Mm.
it really felt, it just felt wonderful to be free of it. And the thing was that I was really, really amazed how well done this illusion is. That that we are who we are. That we're these
Right.
singles.
That we're worrying about like what pot to buy and like what shoes to wear, and like we're really believing in this mundane being the most
Yeah,
important thing or only thing we're made up of, I guess.
yeah. And so I was flying along as this huge expanded cloud, and it felt like it was just this uh, cosmic orgasm. And
Mhm.
it's not like what we that word
Right.
creates
Means to
creates a
us.
lot of
Right.
reaction,
Mhm.
and good and bad. It creates a lot of reaction in people, and I do it on purpose because I'm trying to tell them that that
Oh no,
feel.
you don't have to worry about with my audience. They're not uptight. They understand. I understand what you're saying. It's a really it's this euphoric, like overwhelming feeling. And just to kind of have the back and forth, I have talked to that realm, and the other way that we know it is kind of like a very small, tiny version of what the spirit can do. I know what you're saying. Don't worry. We all get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. And the French call the human orgasm, they call it la petite mort, which
Mhm.
means the little death.
Yes.
Um, so
Mhm.
yeah, it was like that, but only 1,000 times greater, and it didn't stop. It
Right.
wasn't just a moment or this overpowering feeling that subsided. It didn't subside,
Right.
and
Right.
I think what happens with in time, you just um,
Forget.
realize that this is the vibe, and it's really cool here. And
Oh,
you,
you mean that there okay, sorry. I said the wrong thing, everyone. You mean there you got used to it really quick. Is that what you're saying?
I think, I think that's what happens. That
Mhm.
it just becomes because I talked to you once, and you said, "Oh, we can't wait to come back because it was such a challenge," and when we go home, we're like, "Okay, that was cool. That was I did some things right, and I want to try again." And
No, not me. That wasn't me because I don't believe in reincarnation.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
and
I might have, maybe you said that to me or something. I don't remember, but I don't believe in the idea that we have to come back. I think we talked about that. Maybe not on the air, but we might have talked about that. Yeah,
okay, somebody else.
somebody
Uh,
else. He's talked to a lot of people. It's okay,
I
everybody. He's popular.
talked to a lot of people.
It's okay, Bill. But no, just so you know, for sake of our conversation, I have a very unpopular belief, and I don't believe in reincarnation because I believe there's a whole world to live in that world. So it's not necessary. Like you said, I think this is like, yeah, let's have a nice little challenge. Let's go to that camp and see if I can. I always say it's like if someone sent you to a trip around the world and you think, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you go on the trip and you're like, whoa, it was nothing like I thought. And I just kind of did the best I could and I learned things. And then you come back home. So that's how I see it. So, anyway, sorry. People are
No,
probably
that's
like,
cool.
let him talk, Adela.
No, that's cool. And one lady, I don't know if it was in during an interview, but
Mm-hmm.
she said that you're flying around with all these souls, and you're completely, when you're home, and you're completely at ease, and then you'll run into a soul that you can exchange information. It's real. It happens automatically,
Yeah, it's automatic.
and then
Yeah.
it's like, I want to get what they got out of that, and so you get this idea and then off you go and you experience a life like that, a challenging life like that, and She was
Yes,
saying,
exactly. Yeah.
and she
Except
was
for
saying,
you except for you didn't get to the part of when you land, because then I want to kind of add some things. You'll see, but just go continue to the part of now you're kind of flying and you're like having a good time. You're like, what was I doing in that crazy body as that guy named Bill? Everyone thinks that's who I am, but I'm so much bigger than that. But then you kind of hit a landing spot, right?
yeah, and that flying thing is, if I sit outside, we had a bed outside, and if I'm looking at a blue sky and I'll kind of half doze off,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go into that place, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole sky is like a snow globe. It's like glitter.
Yeah.
All those little glitter pieces are shooting these little sparks between each other,
Yes.
and they're shooting from my chest going back to them, and
Mm-hmm.
we all do that. We're
Yes.
all we're all doing that, but we're asleep to it.
Asleep to it. I know. I used to see it a lot when I was little, but it took me back to getting accepting these abilities where I can do that as well. Just people don't realize. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's the vibration connecting to everything, and you could start vibrating when you do that. Right. I know what you're talking about because
Yeah,
that's what I.
and
Mhm.
we're connected to every. It's
Everything.
not severed. We're just pretending like we're separate.
That's the problem with this world. We're obsessed with what's separate. In that world, they're obsessed with what's connected.
Huh? Yeah, yeah. That's the feeling I got. Was all I want to do is blend in and give back.
Mm-hmm.
That, there was no need for Bill or to stand.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
wanted me to get back to the. So I'm
Yes.
flying through space. Everything is awesome, cool. I could do this forever. And then all of a sudden, everything shifted, and I was in a room full of light, and very similar to what is going on behind you. And
Ooh.
there was light everywhere. I've always said that there was indirect lighting, and I don't know why. For years, I didn't know why I chose the words I did, but um, lighting means I didn't see any lights, but it was lit, and so
Right.
there was light everywhere, and it was
Mm-hmm.
we were in the light. We were the light,
That's
and
right. Mm-hmm.
that's a big step for me. That's what was going on, and there were beings there, and they were part of the light, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just like I'm looking at you now. It was the same clarity, and anyway, there was these three little guys, and
Yeah.
they were in front of me, and there was equipment around the room and beds and stuff, and there was these three little hooded guys, and they were smiling broadly and saying little things between each other and giggling, and they were on me pretty fast. They were like, dude, how was it? What did you learn? What can you tell us? And I was like, whoa, who are you guys? And I think I was really shocked, and they were giggling about that. And one came forward to kind of find out what's the holdup here. And he looked me up and down, and he said in a really startled voice, he said he doesn't remember us. And they all started giggling and bouncing around, and that it didn't scare me or anything like that. I was just like, well, little dude, give me a second. I haven't really sorted it out here. This is highly unusual for for me, for a human,
Right.
and they just thought it was hysterical. And then in the background, kind of watching this play out, was this tall, wispy guy that he was like made out of energy. Um, I've tried to use Earth terms to describe him, but
Right.
he was like a sliver of energy, and he was spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Within that spin, there was a, a face and a body parts, and
Right.
they were moving, and it's definitely a person. And the face was smiling, and as he came forward, he looked like he was underwater. He would like separate, and then parts would catch back up. And um, he looked exactly like in that movie, What Dreams May Come.
Yes, that's my
Cuba
favorite
Gooding.
movie. Yeah.
That's a
Mhm.
good movie.
I will tell you, Bill, anybody who knows me has been following. This is the number one movie I tell people that when I saw it, I said somebody knows what they're talking about because that's how that world works. That's how it works. People can create things by thought, they create their own world, they whisper around, and because it's vibration, their energy. So they can change their image to whatever they want it to be.
That's why I love talking to you. Because I brought that up a bunch of times, and people are like, "What movie?" And it's like, and you're like already there, and it's
That's the movie I go and recommend to people when they say, "What movie is your number one?" I think I just did a podcast interview and I said, "Number one, What Dreams May Come." If when I saw that movie, I said, "Okay, somebody knows." Yeah, I was like, "They know." And I mean, besides like the hell part, although the hell part's kind of right too, where she was in her own hell. She was kind of trapped in her own hell. That is how that world, whatever you're feeling, you're going to create. And yeah, so when they're showing them fly like the worlds, 100% the movie that is my number one movie. Yeah.
okay. All right, I'll just say this one thing, then I'll get back on the job.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
But I have a lot of this when as soon as I go to sleep. You're the first one I heard say this, and I agree with it. This is who I am. I don't sleep anymore. I go
Mhm.
lay down on the bed, and then I'm somewhere else. And
Yeah.
sometimes I uh, are fully aware when I come out, and you go through that first level of the afterlife or something,
Yes. Cuz they don't
and
let you go all the way anymore.
and then that in that movie, What Dreams May Come, he's in this place where there's all these faces and they're stuck to the ground and they can't come up. They're that
Right.
souls that don't have the energy to rise, and
Mm.
when I sometimes when I come out, there is that, and there's hands reaching up and stuff, and I just sort of bypass them, like, well, you'll find your way, and I'm
There's
out of
the
there.
right.
But yeah, they show that very clearly that all these faces are like stuck, and they're walking over them, and it's like, wow, that just like you, it's like somebody knows the story.
It's kind of interesting because I never thought of it because when I saw the movie, I think I thought of it as like they were depicting them as like being tortured. But you're right, because whenever I teach a class and I take people, I said, I'm going to take you to where all these spirits are. They're kind of in the lobby. They're not quite able to go to the higher planes yet.
right.
And I'm going to put you on a stage because they know me in that realm, and I'll let it rise above them so they're not coming at you so strong, and people will see it like it's reaching out. I go, it's just because their consciousness hasn't risen past this yet, but they will. That's right.
You see that a lot in video depictions of that, and NDEers report that there were hands reaching, and they were like flying across away from these hands that were all reaching up.
Yeah, they're just kind of they're the spirits that are a little bit like, wait a minute, what's going on? What happened again? They just haven't snapped into it. Sometimes they're in denial. They don't want to look at the fact that they died. So, because I've seen, I know what you're talking about. Whereas, like most of the time, it's what you experience. You just like pop out, and this is what spirits tell me all the time. They're like, "Wow, it was like way easy. I just felt like I dropped this like heavy like suit that I've been carrying around, and I just kind of popped out, and I was me, but in this lighter love, filled with love and acceptance every time." But then there are some spirits that are like, yeah, I just kind of wasn't kind of not ready to go there quite yet. And those are the ones you're talking about. Yeah.
So getting back to the
Getting back to your story. Yes.
dude.
Yeah. Getting back
So
to the
he was
dude.
so he was so yeah, in that movie, early on when Robin Williams first dies and he's in his apartment still, and Cuba Gooding shows up a few times, and
Yeah.
he's in this like he's in this thing, and he spins away, he pops back
Mm-hmm.
over here, and then he says something clever, and then he
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly exactly what I saw.
Because you
And
know what it is? It's vibration. They're full vibration, but the one you saw is a higher being. It's kind of like what people call Saint Michael or Archangel type beings. So and when you said sliver, that's what they have told me for years. We're only showing you a sliver of me. Because if you felt the whole me, it would be too intense. So they
that's so
always say the word sliver.
yeah, that's so cool. It was so helpful. You said that at lunch that day because
Yeah.
I said, what was with the tall, wispy guy, the spinning guy, and you were like, well, he sends a sliver of himself to meet with you, and and that's what you experience
Yeah.
this wild energy.
Right.
So he came forward, and his energy of love. I mean, he adored me. He was chuckling the whole time, smiling. Little guys were giggling and bouncing. It was completely off the scale, joyful. There's nothing heavy or scary about any of it.
Right.
And he came forward, and as his spin kind of enveloped me, I just had this overwhelming feeling that like when you're in the theater and there's some heartwarming movie on, and the dog gets rescued, and you feel like you're going to cry. And,
Right. Right. Emotional.
and I was sitting there going, man, I need to hold it together because I felt like I was going to really lose it, and
Mm,
from all that love. And that's what it is. We don't experience love like
there.
we do at
Yeah.
home.
That's true.
So anyway, these are all things to look forward to. This is why it's a uplifting conversation every time with me, um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just a matter of dropping the woes and the weight of the worldly self, um,
Right.
and that's why we get stuck here. Is we can't lose it, we can't get past it, and but
Yes.
when we do, it's all fun and games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So so he was the guy. The little guys were bouncing around, and he was giggling at them and chuckling at me, and smiling. And I was like, okay, I'd like to leave this room of crystal light and go back into that limitless place that I just was.
You're
Where
like,
all
I want to go back to that more euphoric. So the place, so for because some people, like I said, a lot of people, this may be a new to them. The place that Bill describes when he first, so what really like what I went click when I heard his story, where I was like, bing, 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 bing. This part, believe it or not, the other parts for sure, but this was the main part because he described it like there were beds and there were these, like he went into this place. And I always tell people they call it like a rehab where you go and you kind of go, okay, let me see what was going on. Let's see what's going on with you. Let's see if you need any help. It's almost like a hospital type of thing. And then some people, if they took their life or had trauma in their death, they'll go there and kind of get help and go, hey, you need to kind of get assessed and let's help you out and get you reacquainted. And so when he said, like, oh, is this room a bit? I'm like, I know it. I know that place because I've had thousands of spirits describe this to me, and people look at me like, what do you mean? I go, because you go to this place. Like you pop out and this and that, and you have this overwhelming love, and then you go to this place, and they're like, all right, let's talk about what's going on. But it's like kind of an adjustment area, And that's what I when he said that I was like, okay, no, this is real. I gotta talk to this guy.
You know that you and I talked about this a couple of years ago, but that movie Astral City,
Uh huh.
that's that main character. He ends up in this rehab,
I
and
didn't see it yet. Okay, I have
oh,
to watch it.
it's absolutely cool.
Okay,
And then
because
there's
I
this.
call it the city. That's what you told me. Because I always tell people, oh no, it's a whole city. It's a city. It's like a whole functioning advanced world. Is that? And you told me about this movie. Okay, I have to put that and
Yeah,
watch that.
the city, looks like heaven, and
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of things. But you go, I think what you do, what they're telling you is that you go to the rehab first. It's a
Mm-hmm.
hospital for emotional healing.
That's right.
It's all feelings on the other
Mm-hmm.
side, emotions,
Right.
and they show them healing, with kindness and stuff. And these
Yes.
guys, these guys are actually in beds, and it's awesome. It's an awesome scene. It's all channeled by this really famous guy in
Mm-hmm.
Brazil. So anyway, yeah, I was there, and then the city is outside of the rehab, and
That's right.
your goal is to, um, you know, reintegrate into the city, and um, so I think we
Correct.
got it all figured out.
Yeah.
It's a really good story. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
all religious stuff, and all heavy stuff aside, it's a really cool story.
Yeah. No, yeah, because there was a time I had a dream once. This was right before I had a client. He was kind of on the verge of like leaving this world. And he had a dream after me. Just interesting because I had been helping him. But anyway, there was a dream where I was walking into this place. It was all lit up like this, like what's behind me. If you guys see my YouTube, it was all white with light. It just was light, like you said. It just wasn't like light coming from anywhere. It was a feeling, it wasn't just visual. And the people had like some kind of thing over their head, and I can't describe it. It almost looked like maybe it was just energy vibrating over their head, but in the moment I might have thought it almost reminded me of like a doily type of thing because it was just this very gentle thing over their head. It wasn't a hat. And I was looking and I was like, oh, there's a coffee shop. And this woman was walking next to me, which I swear kind of looked like his wife, the man I was helping. She had passed a while back. That's why I helped him to help communicate with her. Anyway, and she was like, "Is it?" I was like, "Is this a place where? Is this a medical place? Like you guys have a coffee shop and you have a this and there's like it's all nice and feels like peaceful, feels like wonderful and loving, like not harsh like the medical world we come from where it just feels harsh and scary." I go, how is this for people who have money or what's going on? Like, I was like, how come nobody knows about this? And she was like, oh, yes, isn't it lovely? And she was showing me around. But the closer I got to this, it looked like a crossroad that was going to lead to like the entryway. I heard a voice say, you can't go this far. Too far. I was like, but it's right there. I just need to go to there and turn left or right. It like goes to the main area. And they were like, no, no, no. And then I woke up. So I feel like that rehab was a part of it. It was like, oh, you come here, you just kind of get used to things, heal through, like you said, it's all about emotions. So yeah, I know exactly. Now I have to watch the movie. Okay, let's get back to Bill. Now Bill's like done with rehab, done with the hospital, done with the little guy and the wispy guy.
Yeah, and I wanted to get out of there, so I said, "You guys want to, flash my life before my eyes, or go through a review of my life, or whatever we do, because
Mhm.
going back to when I was a little kid, my grandmother would say, before you leave this earth, life will flash before your eyes and you'll see everything you've done. And,
Mhm.
that's been around forever.
Right, right.
And, and then, now we've got this life review term um, which is the same thing. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, I said, you guys want to get on with it? And the tall guy just started cracking up, and he thought that was hysterical. And he said, sure, sure, let's do that. How do you want to start? Exact words. And I said, all right, well, let's, this is good. It's progress. And so I started talking about things in my life, and I tried to find things that I regretted, but I didn't have a whole lot. But I did. My wife wanted us to take this job on an island,
Mhm.
and I didn't take it. And so I brought that up and talked about it for a while. And I was kind of just like trying to check the box, and
Right.
and then out the back door, and and nobody was listening. The little guys
Mm.
were giggling. They were doing this Three Stooges act, bouncing off each other and stuff. And he was watching them and chuckling, and then he'd look at me, and then he'd chuckle because I probably looked, frustrated. And then finally he just goes, "Okay, that's enough. Time to go back." And he turned to me, and it was like the three little guys were just sent off to another assignment. They just popped out of there. And he came forward, and the whole room just started to spin and break apart. And I was pleading, and I was saying, look, I don't need to go back there. There's no, what are you talking about? Go back there. I had forgotten all about this life and Bill, and
Mhm.
it just wasn't part of anything I wanted to remember. But I knew all the details. But it
Right.
was,
But you were like, "I did that. Been there, done that. I'm good."
I'm
You
good.
know,
And
like,
I
don't
was,
need you revisit anything. Mhm.
yeah. And I had people that depended on me and stuff. And I was absolutely convinced that it was a game. It wasn't real, and I didn't need to go back into the game, because when you're in the game, you don't know you're in the game, and it's really super hard.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, but he said, "Yeah, you're going back."
He's like, "You're
And
going back in, Bill. We need to send you back in. You got some more rounds of the game."
yeah,
Mhm.
and there's a point where you're disrespecting the process,
That's
uh,
true.
and you know the line, you know.
Mhm.
And I said my piece, and I tried a little bit, and well, the line was there, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm going back. And I dropped away in. Um, it felt like the floor just dropped out, and he evaporated, and I fell away. But what I think is that it was a drop in frequency, and I was
Yes.
going back into a denser dimension.
Yes. I always say to people, this dimension, I say to people, the reason why it's hard for spirits to maintain their energy is because they have to slow it way, way down. And our dimension, look, we is like sloths moving around. And that dimension's like very, so people think high means like better or worse. It just faster or slower. This is a very slower, everything's like moving slow. And that energy is very fast and high and vibrating at a fast, higher speed as Bill just frees us up. And then, so I always call it like the sloth energy. It's very heavy and slow.
You know, okay, I can tell you this, and you can probably help, and maybe other people feel this way. But sometimes during the day, I'm not a lazy guy. But sometimes during the day, I get started, get out the dogs and cats fed and everything, and then it's like, okay, I gotta go pick up that wood. Now I gotta run by the store, and I need to fill the water. And then I just like overwhelmed, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I've got to go through the next 4 hours of doing this crap, and
Yes.
it's like It's really hard sometimes. And
Bill, you are preaching to the choir because I could tell you when I was little, I'll tell you this too. And since I saw you, I wrote my book, right? I tell you about that, my memoir. Um,
no, I'll get it.
but yeah, I wrote this book, Seer, the origin story. I'm not like just plugging it, but am I? No, but this book. And the reason why I bring it up is because when people ask me how, what experiences I have, and I'm like trying to explain that I knew these things when I was little. So when I was little, I used to say things like, why do I have to like get food and eat and then I have to go take a shower? Or why do I have to explain to you what I feel? Like, can't you just feel it? And people's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, can't you just tell? It just seems like it's a lot of effort to have to use all these words. And I used to do things like talk in mid sentence out loud. And my sister would say, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Didn't you hear the other? Wait, didn't you hear the other part?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "You can't just get the gist of what I'm saying. Can't you feel it?" And she's like, "No, you didn't say any. You didn't say any words." And I would go, "Why? It's everything so." Like I used to look at stuff and go, "That should just like appear in my hand. Why do I have to walk over there, grab it?" And it has never gone away, Bill. And the more that I have developed these abilities, the more it takes a lot of effort for me to accept that I have to go get gas, then I have to go to the store. And I'll be like in the store and I'm like, am I in a store? Really? This is what I'm doing? Like, here's the food. I'm like, why can't I just boom, right? Quicker, faster, just there. And it's not about fast, it's just this seems like very like it feels like sticks and stones. Like I'm just hitting stones and rocks together. It feels very barbaric, very like behind compared to that realm. So no, I know exactly what you're saying. I mean,
I
yes,
have
I know
to
exactly what you're saying.
I have to sit down and some higher voice says, "Okay, look, this is how it works."
Right.
And then I go, and I'm a pretty happy guy, so I go and I do all these tasks, and then I get back, sit down on the couch, take a break, and it's like I got all that done. I can't even believe it because it seemed so insurmountable. It's it really seemed like that's impossible. I
Because
can't
it
go
takes
do all
all
that.
of your focus, all of your being to go, if I didn't learn to be grounded, my natural state is to just float into that realm all the time. So people don't understand that. Like I plan things and all this. That's force. That's not my natural state. My natural state is like, hey man, let's just, see how we vibe it out. But people think I'm this, but it's because I've had to force myself to be that way more, to accept that I'm here. This is how it works. You gotta go to the store. You gotta get in the car. I can't just fly over to somewhere. Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. And then you go, wow, I did those things. But doesn't it seem very like almost like it's almost like going back in time where they would churn butter instead of go buy butter? It just feels very like old world or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're
I
talking
think
about.
the only way through it from for me is to stay in the moment and
Yeah.
and to
Right.
and to switch off the chronology. Stop
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the next step and just say.
Mm.
And I forget stuff all day long. I'll walk into a room. What's the water doing on? And it's like, oh, I guess I turned it on. And that's the downside. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, to just
You have to
stay
force
in.
yourself to be here. And what I hear from that realm all the time is like, Adela, you got to be here. You got to be there. You're on Earth now. Do it.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could talk about that because that is a big problem for me. And I just have to, like you just said, um, you're on Earth now, and I have to have
Yes.
that. conversation, and it's like, yeah, okay, you got to drive 30 minutes to go
Yeah.
pick up the trailer, and then you're gonna drop it off, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Like, really? I
And then
know.
I just do it, and it works out. But it
It's not
stinks.
about laziness, it's about this feeling. The best way I could describe it, I feel, tell me if you think this makes sense, is trying to kind of tell someone you have to live like it's 1850 when you had to, like 1700s or something, where you had to, everything was much slower and everything took longer. But that's not even a great example, but that's just the best example I can give people, is that I'm going, is this how you guys, is this how this planet does things? Like, really? I have to get in my car, drive for 20 minutes, go to the store, pick things up, put it in a bag, put it in the car. And that world is like, shoo, shoo, shoo. So it's hard to, it feels very heavy and slow, like, ba-dum, 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 like a turtle or a sloth. I kind of more compare it to sloth energy. Moves so right compared to the energy you are remembering that you realize you really are inside. Yeah, I get it.
You should charge me for therapy because you help. But I mean, the good news is that's what we go to. We go to a place where every new moment is fresh, and there are
Mhm.
no time constraints. There aren't.
Correct.
There's zero constraints. There's no
Mhm.
distance constraints. There's that's why it's so hard.
Yes. I always tell people, because people say to me, well, how do, because I just want people to remind Bill's already, we're going to get back to his story is when he, he came back to here. But where Bill went, they didn't let him go to the city. They didn't let him go all the way. And they were like, you're, nah, can't go all the way. So we're going to go back. And I always say to people, once you get past the part Bill went to, that's when people say to me, "Oh, there's no time here." And people will say, "Okay, are they alone? Did they?" I go, "There's no such thing as a loneliness there." And it's hard for people to understand. I'll say, "There's no loneliness." They're like, "Huh?" And I go, "Yeah, of course they're going to see their grandmother, their mother, their father. That comes very quickly. That's very easy. That happens just with thought. They just feel they want to see someone and that person connects to them. And you don't want to see them, you won't connect to them. But that's not an issue there. We're used to like find someone, you hunker down in a house and you survive the world and the elements together. But people have a hard time understanding that's not necessary there. You don't need to do that. You just kind of are blending with everyone and you can connect through telepathic and feeling. And there is no time, a limit of time and space. And people are just like, so there is no back or forward. There is no limitation of time and space. So of course they see you and hear you. We've just blocked that off due to fear, that world.
You know that when every time you say talk about the city, there's a couple of NDEers that talk about the Crystal City. You know, in the Wizard of Oz, there was the Emerald City,
Mm-hmm.
and John Davis, in his NDE, he's one of my favorites. He talks
Okay.
about he talks about the city. He doesn't talk about the rehab, but he talks about all the different learning aspects of the city and
Mm-hmm.
everything he was shown. And so, if your listeners, your viewers are like going, okay, these guys are connecting some dots. He's a pretty good dot because he's
Mm-hmm.
shown all around the city, and he's just so genuine.
Check
He's
out
just
everybody. I'm going to check him out too. John Davis, you said, right?
John Davis. Yeah,
John Davis.
he's
Yeah,
very.
I've been seeing that city through, I have visited, but I get pushed back. I only get as far as what I always describe it to people like the Disneyland gates. I can't go all the way in. The first time I saw it was my mother when she died and I had a dream about her, and I was at the gate and it felt like amazing. Like you're just everything you're describing. I've been to that place a few times and been kicked out and said, no, you can't go too far. And I was like, all right, let's go. This place is great. And she's like, no, no, you can't come in. And I was like, I think I can because it's amazing. I'm going to stay. And she's like, no, no, no. And I always see it. So I'm allowed to get glimpses, but I'm not allowed to go all the way because they kind of know me. I would just be like, all right, I'm good, you know? And they're like, no, 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 not yet. But it's really great confirmation to hear other people talk about it because most people look at me and they're like, city. I go, yeah, it's a whole city. There's a city, there's different elements to it. You have to learn it, you have to learn to understand it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool.
confirmation.
So
It's
yeah,
cool.
so I went. I dropped back down into Bill, and there was this really difficult place coming back. Um,
Yeah.
you, all that fear gets loaded back up. It's like somebody backing a dump truck full of gravel, and it dumps it back onto you, and it's really a crushing feeling. And that's why people
Mm,
are so NDEers are so traumatized.
they have
Is
a hard time being here.
Yeah, they come back into this, and then I had something good happen, but they spend a lot of time walking around saying, "What did I do that I deserve this? What did I
Mm.
do wrong that I have to endure this uh,
To come back, you mean?
to come back and
Oh.
to get all those emotions, generate emotions loaded back onto your, soul, and you
Mm-hmm.
were just light and free." And but the one change with me is I woke up and I was looking around. It took a little while to wake up. And I was sitting up, and a nurse came by, and they thought that I was like in a coma overnight, and they thought there's a good chance he's not coming back at all. And
Mm.
I think that was a, a a widespread thought that you
You
might have,
weren't going to come back.
yeah, you might have to get your head around that he was deprived of oxygen, and then he's just a veg.
Oh.
And so, but I was, bright eyed and bushy tailed sitting up, and the nurse walked by, and I was like, um, and she was like, "You're awake." And she was really shocked because I was sitting at, 40 over zero all night. And, all of a sudden it reversed. And I actually watched it, the numbers go up because I kept waking up, and the automatic stuff would squeeze your arm,
Go off. Right.
and blood pressure, and the numbers kept going up, and then I could stay awake. And I said, "I need to talk to you." I was pissed, and she was she was like, "I got to tell the doctor. We've been up all night. We didn't know how you got so far gone, and we didn't know what was gonna happen, and um, I got to go get the doctors." I go, "Okay, yeah, you can go get the doctors, but first." And she had her hands on my shoulders, and she was like, "Calm down." And I go, "What am I doing back here?" And I said, "I was gone. Bill was done. I had bought the farm, and I was out of here. Why did I have to come back here?" And she said, "Honey, you've been in escrow all night." That that term that I said, "bought the farm," and she goes,
Right.
"You've been in escrow all night, and you fell out of escrow, and now you're back." And
That's
she looked me
awesome.
right. She looked me right in the eye, and she said, "You're gonna have to get your head around that." And um, and I was grounded uh,
Yeah.
by a, by a kind soul that took a second to talk
Right.
to the higher, you know,
Part of you.
yeah. And
Yeah. Like
I never
listen,
forgot.
your spirit has to accept it's back here on earth in this body. You're back here. Take a look around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of NDErs, you'll hear about addiction and alcohol and depression, and it
Because they're
goes on.
trying to maintain that same feeling.
Right, it goes on for decades sometimes
Mm.
until they somehow sort out that the NDE was an invitation. It was an invitation to look at who you really are. That's what they are. I'm
Yeah.
convinced of that.
Yes, it is.
And when you do look at who you really are and slow down and eat right and meditate and look at the world differently, then you can figure out that this physical world self is not the whole story. It's just a temporary thing, and
Mhm.
with that comes incredible peace.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing. I would say would you say I always wanna say to people, because people get, like, very upset. I've heard people say they get really obsessed with NDE stories and they just can't get enough. And I always feel like it's responsible to say to people, it's not to glorify things. It's not to glorify that world. I always say to people, it's to explain how you can have a better experience here. If you kind of know this is camp, this is a trip around the world, this is a temporary like experience, and it's not the end. It's like you literally agreed to go, I always say it's like if a new soul meets an old soul a soul that's passed, and that soul's like, yeah, I had that crazy ride, man. It was crazy. Let me show you my whole life. You can, the review you talk about, they show me is like you can live through it, see the different aspects of how you affected people. Like, oh, yeah, I kind of didn't do so great there and learn and grow, but people have to choose to do that. But see, you were like, let's get it on, let's get this going. And I've heard a lot of spirits tell me that. They'll go, soon as I realized I was ready to like get to look at my life because I kind of want to figure out what the hell that trip was about. That's how they'll say it, just like you told me. They'll go, yeah, I just want, and then some are like, yeah, it took me a while to feel okay about it. But a lot of spirits will say exactly what you said. Hey, yeah, I just want to like, let's get this going. You know, I just want to look at my life and figure out, mm, you know, they have a removal, like you said, immediate removal. So when people will say to me, "Oh, what do they want to do at the house?" I'm like, they don't care. They look at it like, you mean those those like those Legos? That's how they see it. Like, do whatever you want with the Legos. I don't have any use for Legos. I mean, I'm in this world. It's
Right?
immediate and no one, and it's so this is what I was so excited when I heard Bill's story because it's like, okay, somebody like I've been saying this stuff to people for years. But for some reason, if someone goes, "Oh, I have this NDE," that people kind of click into it a little differently. But it's just also validating for me because the spirits have told me this for years. They're like, "Yeah, you think I care about a truck? I mean, I'm here in this amazing like that's like a toy to them now. No attachment to it anymore." Yeah. And I said it's immediate. People will say it's just like I drop this physical and it just snap into this amazing feeling. And sometimes people get, it can hurt them because they're like, wait a minute, what about us? I go, it's not that they don't settle into the city and they kind of look at our world and they want to help you and they're like, listen, you think this is all there is? Oh my God, so did I. But now that I'm in this world, I can kind of help navigate your very barbaric world. But it's not like people think. They're not obsessed with this world. Like, as you're saying, you weren't like thinking obsessively. Thank you. Because no, I always say to people laugh at me. I go, they're not so obsessed with us as you think.
No, they see it as a. I saw it as a joke. I saw it as a trick or a game,
Mm hmm.
and and it was an illusion, and it like a trick, like I was tricked, and
Yes.
and that's as far
Like,
as it went.
yeah, because I always say to people, that's why I always try to compare it like, so I was saying before that the new soul is like, hey, how was that earth place? And you're like, oh, let me tell you, I'm going to show you how my life was. It was pretty crazy. well, I think I could do it. Oh, you think you could do it? But you're in this beautiful, loving, supportive world, and you're like, yeah, I think I would have nailed it. I think I would have nailed it, you know? And you're like, okay, well, I think I would have those parents, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the future. You just know, well, maybe this will be a nice little challenge. And you're like, and I always say, kind of compare it to anything else. If you try to prepare for something, you read about it, you study about it, you train for it. And then the vets are like, you've never lived it. You don't know. Oh, I think I could do it. And then you go to Earth and you kind of forget the world you came from and you get sucked into it. That's why I always say it's like a trip around the world where you're like, oh, yeah, it'll be fun. I'm going to have a great old time. It'll be great. I think I'll be good. And then you people are like, you don't understand. You're going to meet people. You're going to go through experiences. You're going to come back changed. Oh, no, I think it'll be different for me. And then you come back and you're like, "Whoa, what was that about?" So that's how I always try to say to people, and people look at me and I'm like, "I'm telling you, this is only a very small part of living. There's a whole other type of living." So
Yeah.
with that said, Bill, my question to you is, once you got back and since then, and what has been your journey? Like, where are you at now? Where are you? What's your site? What's your viewpoint? Like, how has it changed from the time you came back and you probably had to talk to people and go, yeah, I had this crazy experience and they don't know what you're talking about, to like to this point now?
Yeah, I came back and a bunch of firemen came and, in the hospital, and I told them all, and I was just, wow, wow, it was so cool. You guys don't have any idea what we really are.
Right.
And there were all these really cool beings. I couldn't even, you can't even imagine how they're not people. And, um, the doctors made fun of me, and my family was, I could see my mom was like, oh, he does have brain damage. And,
That's so terrible.
they were
Yeah,
concerned.
they didn't understand it at all. Okay,
No,
yeah.
no, nobody did. Um, and my wife, so one point, it was this thing that I was trying. I explained how I didn't want to come back, and she didn't say anything at the time. But years later, she's like, "You didn't even want to come back to me,
It hurt her
doesn't, no,
feelings. Yeah.
this doesn't feel very good." And I'm like, "You don't understand. This is all fake."
Right.
And
And also, I just want to point out, just so you know, you didn't go all the way to the city. If you made it to the city, then you would have kind of checked her out and checked out this world, and you would have been like, "Oh, okay, yeah, she's going through stuff. I want to help her." But it's not the same feeling that people, it's just like in life, if someone goes off on a trip, they're like, "Ooh, I'm having a fun time experiencing this new world. I'm going to," and the people left behind are like, everything stays the same for them. So that's a terrible example, maybe, but that's the best example I can give times a million. So I'm just telling you, like, if you had gone to the city, you would have saw her and you would have been like, okay, yeah, I can see she's going through it. And yeah, I really would love to share this with her. I really would love for us to share this together, but I can't get through to her, which is hence what I do for people. And you just never got a chance to even get to that point. But with that said, yeah, people don't, it's not as difficult for them on that realm as it is for people here. You are right about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was sick for a while, and but I got back to work, and then everyone at work wanted to know about. Everyone's talking about you had this thing happen, and
Right.
everybody, I say, sit down. I'll tell you. And I gave classes, and after a week or two, the guy was delivering something to the station, and he's like, "Hey, man, there's a bunch of chiefs in the chief's office. They're all talking about you." that he
Uh-oh.
needs a straitjacket, and I'm like, and he's like, you maybe you want to, keep that story quiet. And I said, you got it. That's a good advice. And so I zipped
And
it.
what year was this again?
94.
Okay, 94. So note this, everyone, because I was going through my experience around that time, around 90. I was about 22, 23. So about 91, 92. And the world was not as receptive then.
No,
Hmm.
no. There's this other guy. He was a medic in New York. His name was Bill. Oh, he's an Italian name, but
Hmm.
he was in this. He got the flu in Arizona or something. The same flu, the Beijing flu, in '94, and he has
Mm.
a really powerful NDE. Uh,
Okay.
I can't think of his name. I always Tortorella, Bill Tortorella,
Wait, now
and
I have to like hold on. Continue on. I'm just taking notes of these names. I have to look up now. So there we have Bill Tortorella, right?
right,
Bill Tortorella,
John
and
Davis,
then what'd you say?
John Davis.
John Davis, and then I gotta watch the Crystal City. And if you guys are only listening to this podcast, when I came on, I changed my background to kind of have this like all white kind of crystally look because yeah, this is kind of reminds me of something, so that's why I like it. And so so anyway, Crystal City, right? Or did you say Crystal City is the name of it?
Astral City.
Astral City. Oh, that's perfect because I'm going to be posting a class about this. Okay, Astral City. Okay, I got my list. Okay, go ahead, Bill. Continue on.
So, so yeah, it was '94, and I had never heard of anything. What even my memory of everything that had happened was I couldn't associate it with anything. Um, and so I zipped it because I enjoyed my job and kept it quiet
Mm-hmm.
for about 15 years. And if we were, late at night, we are out on the fire line and the stars were bright and 2 in the morning and we're taking a break and guys, start, we're having some chow or something and guys start looking at the stars and talking about life. Um, and a couple of times I told the story because of the setting,
Right.
and since all these podcasts, these guys call me at home that I used to work with, and they're like, back in 2000, we were on this fire, and you started telling this story in the middle of the night, and everybody was just shocked. And uh, this one guy said, I worked with you for 20 years. I knew you weren't lying. I knew you weren't
Right.
making it up.
Right.
And he said, ever since then, I've spent thinking about it because something happened to you, and uh, you're absolutely convinced of it, and and you tell it with just a calm. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it rattles people. And um, so yeah, they've called recently and said, just to let you know, you were telling that story, but you were tiptoeing around it. And
Yeah.
so so yeah, that was
Another thing, Bill, that we might share is that when I had my awareness of what I could do, and I had a distinct experience. It had always been happening my whole life, seeing things and knowing things, and that's why I wrote a book about my journey of it. But it was around 93, 94 that I stopped talking for about 12, 13 years. So a little similar to you. I did the same thing because I was talking about it and reading people and didn't know what I was doing. I was just walking up to people and telling people I saw things, and people were freaking out. And I always try to explain to people this was the 90s and people were not as open. And so I just said, I'm just going to shut this down and shut up. I'm just going to shut up. And it lasted about that amount of time. And then I finally said, okay, I can't really keep this quiet anymore. I can't keep running from this about me anymore. So I
yeah
understand.
and that same kind of realization came to me I retired, and then
Mhm.
for some reason, I was having fun, happy to be retired at 55,
Right.
and I was sitting around watching Netflix, I guess, in the middle of the afternoon, and this movie came up it was called DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and it was
Yeah.
like, you should watch this,
Yeah.
and I never watched, hang out with cops and stuff that are retired, and I don't watch. I've never been a druggie. I didn't really appreciate the drug user crowd because
Mhm.
two in the morning we're at some
Buddy's
drug
house.
deal, and somebody's been assaulted, and I didn't really like that crowd, so I didn't watch drug movies. But I watched this DMT, the Spirit Molecule, um, and then a few weeks later, I bought the book because I liked Straussman. And then I got around to reading the book, and when I got to chapter 13 and 14, it's called Contact Through the Veil.
Mhm.
And he had 70 volunteers that he injected with high DMT,
Yeah.
and he was mimicking the action of the pineal gland.
Mhm.
When we go to sleep at night, it drops a little on the brain, and we soul
Mhm.
travel.
Yeah.
And when we die, it splashes the brain with a huge dose, and it rockets the soul out of the body. And
Right.
And when I got to 13 and 14, and it was Contact Through the Veil, and of his 70 volunteers, at least half were going to a facility and seeing three little, short, little, funny, hooded guys, and a taller, wispier guy that seemed to be in charge. And it was over and over. And most of them, 98%, were like, oh, these guys were cool. They were my friends, and they were
Mhm.
fun, and everything was light, and they were,
They are because they kind of laugh at us like we're children. I always tell people they see us like children.
yeah,
So they kind of think it's funny when you're like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, okay, you silly boy. You don't know what's going on. Like, you're like, I'm going to review my life now. They're like, because this is how they treat me. Because I'll talk to the tall ones that I call the archangel ones, and the hooded ones I call the watchers. They kind of watch and they observe, but they don't really interfere. And I feel like with you, it might be the same or it could be different. I mean, I'm not claiming, but I always see them as hooded, and they might have been more playful than I normally. They don't tend to play with you when you're here for sure, but there they might be more playful. Um, but they're always in that energy because they look at it like they'll treat me. I'll go, and I'm tired of this. I've been doing this work, and I'll do my little tantrums, and they just start. I just feel them laughing. They're like, "All right, calm down. You're fine. You're fine. You just need to do this." It's a very like loving, but you don't really know. You need to, they just think it's funny because you're all like in the kind of like a
right.
kid. They see you, they treat you like a little bit like you're a kid.
This one lady called me, and she said that you helped me so much because she was assaulted by her husband or boyfriend, and he beat her nearly to
To
death.
death. Okay.
And she had an NDE out of it,
Mhm.
and she found herself in that
Mhm.
facility with those guys, and she's like, "Well, what's going on?" And they're like, well, you're here or something like that. And she's like, well, we got to go back. You guys got to go back. You got to go help me get him. And they started laughing. And she goes, what are you laughing at? we have to,
Right.
we have to get up and go back out. He's really hurting me. And they laughed louder, she said. And she said, now I get it. I was in a play or a movie, and it wasn't real. And they thought it was really funny that I was stuck in the movie in my thoughts. And she
Mhm.
calmed down eventually, and then, she went back, uh,
They
obviously.
also kind of are laughing because they're like, we don't do that. We don't like interfere in what's going on.
Right.
Like, that's not what we do. You're
You're on
not
your
getting
own.
Yeah, you're not getting how it works. Like, we'll help you, give you love and compassion and support and help you heal. But I think you're thinking we're like rescuers or something, and then we're not. That's what's they're also laughing at. Because like I told you, I think I told you a story when I would talk to those beings, and I one time said I want to see you, and so they said, "Okay, you want to see us?" I said, "Yeah, I've been talking to you and telepathy," and all of a sudden I thought I was having a stroke. My whole body froze up,
Yep.
and I went out of my body and I started crawling around, and they were standing there laughing, and they go, "Just stand up." And I go, "I can't, I can't." I was like freaking out, like my spirit, and I tried to hit the TV and I couldn't touch it, but I knew I was on the couch, but my spirit wasn't. And they said, "Just stand up. What are you freaking at? Just stand up." I was like, "You have to help. Ah, I'm having a stroke." And they were like, "You're not having a stroke. Just stand up. It's fine." And I crawled to my boyfriend at the time's room, and I could see him sleeping in his bed. And he told me later he heard something say, "She's fine." And I went back into my body. And then the next time this happened to me was I had a cast put on wrong, and it was pushing on an artery. No one believed me, by the way. I kept telling everyone there was something wrong. And I popped out, and I was in my, this was 10 years later. I'm in my living room, and I saw those guys again. And I went, "Okay, well, let's get the show on the road." Like, I knew it was going to be easy. Now I was standing up. Now I'm good. And they went, "No, not today." They went, "Not today." Like, silly girl. I felt something grab my toes, like a hand, and I went back into my body. And they said, "Call someone, go to the hospital, get that cast looked at." And that's how they operate. They don't like, they think it's funny because they're like, "We're not here to do all the things for you." So you're just kind of flailing, and they're like kind of laughing about it, just like we do with kids, right? Don't we do that with kids when they're like, I hurt my knee? They're like, "You're fine."
Right.
Right? Yeah.
True.
Okay, so Bill, we went off. I just want to know, because I've kept Bill here way long and I don't want to steal his time. Um, what how do you feel today? Like, what is different for you today? Like, now that you've probably had to go through all that adjustment, you had to hold it all in, and you went through all that, but like now, like, what can you say about how you feel today? Like, what's different? What have you been experiencing since I last talked to you? Like, what's going on?
I can tie the whole thing together
Okay,
with a couple sentences.
sure.
The So the DMT thing, I was like, okay, well, I have to try this DMT thing, and so I started checking into shamans and stuff. Is that okay?
I mean, I'm surprised you don't need it.
No, well, this was in 2010.
Okay, gotcha.
2012, I was hanging around and screwing around in Central America a lot. I was going to build a bunch of retreat and all this stuff down there, and but I had in the back of my mind this whole shaman thing, and
Yeah,
so I hung
makes
around with them.
sense.
I did the DMT. It was ridiculously incredible, hard on a person. I don't
Mm-hmm.
recommend it. Um,
Thank you. I ditto. I second. I wouldn't recommend it either.
you can get there by sitting quietly in nature and eating the right foods and stuff. Because the DMT it yanks you out of your body, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and you're going into a room that you weren't invited into uh, at this time. It wasn't your time to go into that room, and suddenly you're
Mm-hmm.
there. And really, what you may see things that you're not ready to see, and there's a lot of unusual things in the universe that we're not aware of, and
Yes,
so,
I always say to people, Bill, two things, and I keep it brief, I promise. Um, Two things. The reason why I've never done anything like that is because I always tell people I've been talking about raising vibrations, and I use music and how to push energy and push people out through a safe way, and how to bring them back in. And people like travel and they're like, I've never experienced that before. I go, because I know that vibration. They showed me how to do it. Those beings that were laughing, talking about, they have shown me. Secondly, you got to realize there's a lot of neighborhoods in that city. And if you don't know how to deal with them, you shouldn't be just jumping around. They even tell me that. So, second, everything Bill's saying. Go on, Bill.
Yeah, and some of those ayahuasquero young guys,
Mm-hmm.
they have their podcasts and
Right.
they look like they're coming apart. If you watch them over the
Yes.
years, it's like
Yes.
that guy's unraveling.
Right.
And I noticed that in this village, there were people that lived there, where
Mm-hmm.
I was staying off and on for a couple 3 years. I'd stay as much as I could, and there were people that were there, and they signed up for every ceremony, and they
Mm-hmm.
were coming unhinged.
That's right.
So I just want to echo what you just said. Is
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the way to go. I think the way to go is to, like you said, get follow the energy, find it within yourself. The best way to do that is stillness and uh, quietness and in nature, and you can find your way home
Mm-hmm.
naturally.
Or music. You can use music too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I noticed that the shamans hanging around these guys, talking to them and stuff. I noticed that they were a leftover. This was my opinion of ancient times when there were, the ancient civilizations going back to all these things that are mythical in our thoughts. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Mu and Lemuria and Atlantis, um, and the Egyptians would be like the last holdout for that. And they just knew things, and the shamans and the ancients talked the same way. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so my big thing was ancient knowledge, and with that group, there is this thing that there's a great year, a 24,000 year cycle, and that we have just completed this really hard dark age, and we're moving. I mean, it just happened last year. We're moving into these um, back into the light, and the see it all the time. It's even in the news that the world is being it's a remodel, and
Mm-hmm.
right now we're in the demo phase where all the goofiness it's not welcome anymore energetically, and
Yes.
the all those low vibrations, they're not welcome on Mother Earth. She's a living being, and
Mm-hmm.
like shaking off water, she's going to shake off all the low density stuff. And but the good news is you can keep pace with the energy wave, this awakening. You can keep pace with it, and you can rise with it, and everything will be fine. Um, just
Mm-hmm.
don't get caught up in the mainstream fear. It's going to get way worse.
Yes.
Um, and the whole NDE, this whole NDE movement, it has the NDEers, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, they can be an annoying crowd, and I'm sensitive to that. I don't want to be an annoying crowd, part of the annoying crowd, because they're talking, oh, and God spoke to me, this
Right.
horse,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
and the reality is that an NDE, you're a soul that's been around a while, and the NDE is an invitation to
Mm-hmm.
wake up, to
That's
realize
right.
who you really are, that you're not this human.
Mm-hmm.
It's a temporary dance that you're doing, and to get ready for what's coming. And that's what I think is going on with the whole NDE movement. Is everyone is being given the opportunity to look within, to go inward, and
Mm-hmm.
um, look at these things that the NDE stories. If you piece them all together, there's a really good story there, and,
Right.
that's happening right now. Um, yeah, go with
That's
the
us. That's awesome, Bill. Well, first
That's
of
what I
all,
think's going on.
yeah, that is great. Everyone is really going to appreciate this. I will say that personally, on a personal note, it helps me because when you do it, when you have an NDE like community, you guys can all bond on the experience. And of course, humans tend to be like, I want to know from a person that just was doing life and this happened to. It makes people feel it's more tangible. Whereas, the work I do, I feel like I'm constantly trying to scream out. I sometimes feel like I'm screaming into the void, for 25 plus years. And then someone will say, I heard someone say that. And I'm like, I've been saying that. But I've been, I've been saying that. And then for me personally, it's like, oh my God. Okay, so the days that I'm doubting this work, the days that I'm going, should I just go get a 9 to 5 and just keep it all to myself and forget it. And then I hear someone like you who just, is telling it from a very real place. It feels so comforting because it's one thing that when, if I talk to other spiritualists and things like this, but it's another thing when you talk to someone, it's like, I wasn't looking for this. This wasn't a part of my world. It just kind of, and for me, and the truth is, someone who does what I do, it wasn't part of my world either. I was raised by a very intellectual family, religious. These things just kept happening to me. So it was just we went on this similar paths, different ways. We got to the same, I should say, we ended in the same place and we just went on different ways about it. And the one thing that is so reassuring, I've been saying to people, we are moving into a new world. I've been saying this since 2020. We could have went to the new world in a nice way, but apparently everybody wants to do everything difficult. And I've been saying it's going to get much harder, everyone, but we're not going back. Everyone keeps being so afraid that, oh no, I go, no, we're moving into the new world because at the end of the day, Mother Nature is the ruler, and Mother Nature will show you who is having the final say. And I had a vision about 18 years ago that I didn't understand at the time. I was told, oh, there's going to be the two worlds will collide. And I didn't understand that then. I thought it was like the two worlds. Is it the afterlife world? And I didn't understand. And the people who want to go forward and understand and wake up to it will be fine. And the people who don't are going to fight it tooth or nail for it to stay the same. And now here we are.
We're here.
We're here.
You know, I appreciate you because we talked about this once before, and I said, you and I do say the same things, but I wasn't born this way. It
Mm-hmm.
happened in this life. There's some sort of, I said yes to the invitation, and they kept giving me more. And I think that is part of it when you say yes to the ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
when you actively seek and, you shall find, you knock and the door will open.
Right.
And, now when I sit still and I let go, if you've ever gone to that, this is just recently in the last few months, it's really gone over the top. But if you go to the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, you go,
Yes.
you go in.
Bill, do you want to see what's underneath here? Bill, 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 Bill. What does it say?
I can't. It says the Haunted Mansion.
Welcome, foolish mortals. It's from the Haunted Mansion.
Oh,
I was underneath the tree.
that's
Okay,
awesome.
anyway.
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
when because my wife, well, I turned 70, and my wife and
Yeah.
I, we hadn't gone since our 20s, and I was like, this, I don't know, it's crowds and people are weird these days. It was the furthest thing from the truth. It was everybody who goes in there decides that they're at the happiest place on earth, and
Right,
that's
right.
how the world could be
I
everywhere.
know. Right.
And but anyway, so we go into the Haunted Mansion, and we're in this big old room. Where ghosts are flying around, things are chasing each other, and stuff's flying
Yeah.
past
That's the dining room area.
the dining room. And I told Leah, I said, that's what I see. That's what's around us. That's
I
what's
just
around.
got chills. Bill, I'm freaking out. Bill, everyone listening is freaking out who knows me. Everyone knows not only is that my favorite, like, I don't know, Bill. I have like this, I have this, I have, it's like my ultimate favorite ride. But that part, I
Yeah.
always feel so happy. I go, oh, it's home. It's home. And I do this, and the ride has broke down several times on me at that spot. And
Well,
I'll just sit there and I'll go, it's like home. It's like home. And everyone's like, what? I'm like, they're just like all my friends.
you know what my wife said? Because after we got out, I
Yeah.
went through it again, and I go, you know what? That's what I'm seeing flying by
Yeah.
me, chasing
Yeah.
each other around.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, everybody looks very happy, and they're all having fun. And I'm
Good
like, yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, there is no. And here you are at the haunted mansion, and it's kind of a disguised thing that the world is
Right.
really. It's really a fun reality on the other side. All fun, no downside.
I love this so much.
I do
It's
too.
very it's very true. Like it's so funny because people never understand it and I'm like, "Oh no, it's just cuz it reminds me of home." Or I'll see something and it'll be all these like lights and music and it's flying by and I'm like, "Oh, this is home. I remember." I cuz I know it and that's painful part about having this awareness is that you're never just not aware of it. And also, I wanted to say too, when you were saying, like, yes, I was born with this gift, but just like you, I had to keep going, all right, tell me more, grow. Like, people say, oh, I had to learn and develop. It's not like all these things happened right away. I had this ability, I saw that world, it never turned off for me. And, I do believe because my mother died when I was 10 days old that maybe she kept that on. And that's why I wrote this book to show people the process of how all this has happened for me. And I think that I kept it quiet. I didn't tell people that I saw things because I wanted to keep that world open. I didn't know what it was, I wasn't clear on it, but it was a choice of me saying to that world, I want to learn. And as I learned, they would show me more. And then they would show me more. And then they would show me more. And it continues to this day.
And
So I
you
know what you're
and you were
talking about.
asking. You were That's what
Asking.
the other side wants you to honestly, genuinely from your heart ask to know what's going on here.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that was my thing because my NDE experience was in that book of the DMT book.
Mm-hmm.
I walked around for months going, what is going on in this place?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a real place that we go to, and
Mm-hmm.
I got a glimpse of it. But what the hell? Nobody knows this? Yeah,
I
and
know. This is how I feel every day. I'm like, you guys, this isn't like you just want to be like this is a cup and this is a chair and that's it. You just want to see that because it's
right,
a world within this world.
right,
So, like you said, I could just be sitting there staring. People say, "How do you get to it?" I go, just like let yourself zone out or just sit there and just kind of feel. And that's why I tend to use music to help get those juices flowing. And the last thing I wanted to say that to respond to something you said when you said that you cried when you were there, whenever I take people and I help them journey and go into that realm, they will cry and they go, I don't know why I was crying. And I go, because you're remembering because
right.
you're going home. It's like homesickness. It's coming back.
That's cool that you. That's cool that you use that word, remembering, because that's man. It's just like anyway. I'm doing this three-part thing, short three-part thing, and the title is "It's Time to Remember."
That's right.
For everyone, the whole world, it's time to remember,
It's time to
and
remember.
and to just take the easy path.
Yeah,
Don't fight it.
That's right. That's a perfect place to end on. And I absolutely, that's when people say, "Why do you do this?" I go, "Because I'm trying to get you to remember who you are, where you came from, and remember home." And people get very emotional because then they don't understand because they don't remember. Yeah. So I'm glad you're doing that.
I'm glad you're who you are, dude.
Thank you, Phil.
You just, I mean, I talk to a lot of people, but I don't really get anywhere until I talk to you.
Thank you so much, Phil. So I shouldn't go work at Target then?
No, no, your
I'm
time is
joking.
your time is now, and I know it's frustrating because I've had a short run of it, but we're considered weirdos, and
Yes,
that's going to end.
it
They're
is.
they're going to turn to the channels and the mediums because all the other stuff's not going to work. Uh,
Yeah,
Science and religion and history, all those stories are going to fall apart,
yeah.
and you're going to be in demand. So be ready.
I'm trying to, Bill. And I also see it like it's an advanced science. Like maybe it's an advanced science we don't understand, you know? Like the way that, it doesn't have, we don't have to fight with each other. But I thank you, Bill. I needed to hear that. I just want to say thank you. It has uplifted me. It gives me a little like it's like getting a boost in my arm of like, okay, keep going. Of course I'm keeping going. I'm never going to stop, but it's a hard path for sure. It's a
Yeah.
hard and wonderful path if that makes sense at the same time. I couldn't ever not be this or do this, but it doesn't mean you don't need to hear from someone like, "I see you, I know what you're talking about." It helps a lot. So thank you for coming back on, or like we'll call it a 2-year anniversary.
Thank you.
We'll definitely keep doing this, like checking in. And I always will text you and go like, "I don't know, Bill, I keep hearing your name. What's up?" You know, I'll keep doing that.
I will too. I really honestly appreciate you. Thank you so much for contacting a lowly NDEer.
There's no lowly anybody. We all have. That's why I don't believe in the hierarchy. I believe, like I said, we are doing the same thing. We're just doing it in a different way. That's just the way it's supposed to go. That's just how it goes. That's how
Right.
it. If we all stop looking for who's here, up here, down, we're all playing a part. That's it. I appreciate you that you were a grounded person with a grounded life because I was not. And you went about life and you experienced this. It helps me actually go, okay, I'm not so out there. Here's a really intelligent, grounded, down to earth person, and he knows what I'm talking about. It helps. So we all play a part, Bill. There's no lowly anybody. There's just no such thing to me. That's not how I see things. But
Well,
th-
I think the NDEer is a first step, and then people will start to realize that this is within them with the pineal gland,
right,
how to activate it, and then eventually it'll be I can do this on my own. And
correct.
I mean, you're teaching the whole way, um, but the NDEers are just taking the baby step, really. Um, but you've got the whole hierarchy figured out, and that's got to be frustrating because
It
the
is
world is.
frustrating.
I mean, the world's
Yeah,
coming to your doorstep.
yeah.
That's the only place they can go in the future, and so
I appreciate Bill. You just gave me a little. Bill just gave me a little reading. He doesn't realize it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It does help. It gives me the juice to keep going. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna cry, but I'll cry later. Thank you so much, Bill, for coming on.
thank you.
I mean, just period. Just thank you for being you and this conversation. And I know a lot of people are going to go crazy appreciative of it. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
good. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, man.
Follow
Take care.
yourself, everybody. Follow no one. Listen to your inner voice. And we'll see you soon. And I'll update you. Whatever Bill's telling me, I'll update you. Thank you.